The San Diego Padres have made another trade. AJ Preller found a way to dump Matt Carpenter's contract. It goes to the Atlanta Braves. Also, Ray Kerr is going to the Atlanta Braves, and the Padres, they get back an outfielder, Drew Campbell. Don't know much about him. He was in Double-A for the Atlanta Braves this past season. His best year was a couple years back. We're at a pretty good OPS, but it was in a limited sample size. So don't really know what we're going to get from him. Really what this deal was about, Matt Carpenter getting out of that deal, getting out of that contract, freeing up a roster spot. Maybe this freed up a couple roster spots, but I'm not so sure Ray Kerr was a guarantee to be on the opening day roster next year. But as of now, Matt Carpenter was on the roster because of how much money he was making. And obviously he's a vet in Major League Baseball. But I mean, I don't know how you will not like this move. I mean, some like diehard fans will be like, "Man, I didn't want to give up Ray Kerr, and I didn't want to give up Ray Kerr either. I thought that he could be one of those good lefties in the Padres bullpen next year because of some of the guys that they're losing. Maybe Ray Kerr would have gotten more of a shot and been an impactful arm. Maybe not a high leverage guy, but a pretty impactful arm in this Padres bullpen for Mike Schilt and Ruben Niebla. But that was the prize that Atlanta, I guess, wanted because the Padres, they're giving Matt Carpenter to Atlanta. It's a salary dump. Now, it is cash considerations going to Atlanta as well. As of this recording, I don't know how much money is going to Atlanta. That's obviously a big thing in this because then we'll know, okay, how much room do the Padres have to spend to get to that $200 million number. But also, they want to stay under the CBT, and there's not the same amount of money from where they're at now payroll wise to getting to 200 than there is where they're at now CBT wise to get to 237, which I believe is the first luxury tax threshold. Right now, Fangraph says the luxury tax, the CBT number for the Padres is a little less than $204 million, but I believe that's the same number that it was before this Matt Carpenter trade. Let me see, is Matt Carpenter on here? I'm not sure that Matt Carpenter is accounted for on Fangraphs. It already lists that Matt Carpenter was traded to the Braves, so he's not on here. But I don't know if that CBT number is up to date because we don't know how much cash is going to the Atlanta Braves. So maybe the payroll's not 100% up to date, but it says that the estimated 2024 payroll is $151 million, and the CBT number right now is a little less than $204 million. So that gives the Padres, what, $33 million of room around that, right? 237 is the number. And then let's say 204, a little over $33 million to get to that. And then we'll see. Well, it's for CBT AAV, right? And Matt Carpenter's AAV was $6 million, I believe, because it was 2 years, $12 million. He was being paid $5.5 million for 2024. So does that entire $6 million go off of the Padres CBT? I think it would. It would make sense for it to. And the Padres are just paying money to the Atlanta Braves here. If that's the case, then they would have what, like almost $39 million, I think, before getting to the 237 CBT threshold, that number there. So it gives them a little bit more room, but also really it gives them an open roster spot. And, Matt Carpenter is not going to be a first baseman on this team next season. Jake Cronenworth is that first baseman right now, but we know that he is more valuable as a second baseman. Is a Ha-Seong Kim trade in the works? Who knows? I think that it would be smart for the Padres to be listening on Ha-Seong Kim. He's at his highest value. So we'll see what happens there. I'm sure that there's going to be more to discuss as we continue along here in the offseason regarding Ha-Seong Kim. But Jake, I don't think the Padres want him to be the everyday first baseman in 2024. So acquire a bat. This opens up a roster spot for that. In the minor leagues right now, there's no one that immediately catches my eye. So I'm looking at some of the free agents, and Carlos Santana's out there. There's someone like CJ Cron, but he's a righty. There's not very many lefties on this Padres team, position player wise. So maybe they want it to be a lefty. So Carlos Santana fits that. But if they're just going based off of bat, CJ Cron is someone that is out there. Brandon Belt is a lefty. He's out there, but he does have a little bit of an injury history. So we'll see. Um, more trades. I would be pretty surprised if there's no more trades that happen this offseason by the Padres because I don't see them going out and spending a bunch of money on free agents because of how great it is for free agent. It is a free agent market. Like, regardless of if you stunk this past year, you're still getting $14 million. So, I mean, I talked with Jim Callis earlier today. Please check that out. Podcast platforms and here on YouTube. We mentioned Dylan Cease as a potential name. That's not position player, obviously, but there's that. There's a lot of different ways the Padres can go about it. They have more flexibility. But really what was important here was not having Matt Carpenter be on the roster, not taking up that roster spot. Nothing really against Matt Carpenter except like his play. He hit 176 and it was so bad that Bob Melvin told AJ, yeah, I don't want him on the roster. You might want him on the roster so you can trade him in the offseason so you don't have to pay his salary in 2024 or the entire salary, which is what AJ was able to do here. But I'm not going to play him. He's not helping our team win. So, yeah, hit a little over 170, went weeks without getting an at-bat. Like, it was clear that he shouldn't have been on the roster, but AJ was keeping him on the roster to wait for this moment here where you could get something back for him. And clear, hopefully, some salary. Again, don't know how much, but hopefully some salary off of the books in this Carpenter deal. Personally, like teammate wise, I shouldn't say personally. I don't know Matt Carpenter personally, but it seemed like he was a great teammate, and that had to have been tough for him to go weeks without getting an at bat. But he was out there every day for infield and hitting, preparing as if he was going to go help that team win. He was going to go help the Padres in some sort of way, and he was going to be prepared to go get an at bat in a game if Bob Melvin ended up calling his name. And he was continuing to help out in hitters meetings, according to Kevin Acee. So I have all the respect in the world for Matt Carpenter to continue being a good teammate and continuing to work, because we've seen sometimes in this franchise's history, some players just stop or they're okay with where they're at. Even in the offseason, I mean, we saw Matt Carpenter working. I think he was at Driveline. Maybe I'm wrong with that, but he was working in the batting cage. There was video on that. So I definitely can applaud Matt Carpenter for continuing to want to get better and not being happy with his performance and not just saying, whatever, I'm making the money, whatever, and just being okay with sitting on the bench. No, being a good teammate, doing everything that he could to stay prepared. But, performance-wise, it just wasn't going to work. So I wish Matt Carpenter well, truly do. I don't really have hard feelings, with Matt Carpenter. Wish him well with Atlanta as long as he's not playing against the Padres. He hit a home run. This was early in the season in Atlanta last year. I think he had a pretty good series against the Braves, if I remember correctly. So maybe that's a ballpark that he likes hitting in. So we'll see. Wish the best to Ray Kerr as well. Hopefully he gets an opportunity there with the Braves, and we'll see what else is coming up on the horizon here in this Padres offseason.